Hello and welcome to the British Chamber of Commerce Singapore's podcast channel. We're thrilled to present in-depth discussions on business, global affairs and news across Singapore, ASEAN and the United Kingdom. Thank you for your continued support and we hope you enjoy this episode.
Hi and welcome to the BritCham Singapore podcast. I'm Louise Beazor, the Head of Trade Services at the Chamber, and I'm absolutely thrilled today that we have Ben Richardson, the CEO of Sulnox, with us today. Ben, could you start by telling us a bit about Sulnox? Why was the company founded and what do you aim to do?
So Sulnox is a green tech company. We're based in the UK. Our shares are traded in the UK exchange and also in America. Today, we're sold in over 40 countries with patents in around 50, and the products are unique. Sulnox are inventors of green tech products. The way the products work is they improve the combustion of all liquid hydrocarbons, so petrol or gasoline, diesel, all the marine fuels, and indeed future biofuels and even aviation fuels. And by improving combustion, this means that we reduce fuel consumption, we reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and indeed particulate matter responsible for poor air quality. So we're a unique product, able to make a massive impact to the energy transition at a time when the climate and indeed industry is crying out for such easy solutions.
Thank you. And you describe yourself as a green tech company, which is interesting when you're thinking about the wide kind of sectors that you're working in. I was working with some colleagues earlier and we were trying to define what sort of product you are and how green tech actually really, I guess, defines the innovative nature of the business. Your background's pretty interesting and diverse. What drew you personally into the sustainability and clean fuel space?
Well, whilst I spent the last 20 odd years in investment banking before Sulnox, I actually did a degree in geography. And why this is relevant, because I studied palaeo-climatology and palaeo-oceanography. So how the climate has changed through time as defined through cores of both ice and sediment. So it's something that back in the 90s was really coming to the fore, because it was the first time that it was really declared and acknowledged that humans were the cause behind climate change, what led to the Kyoto Protocol in 1997. So finished my banking career and then just jumped at the opportunity to make a difference, and that's why Sulnox, with its immediate impact on emissions, is something I've really gone for.
Yeah, climate oceanography. No.
Palaeo-oceanography.
Palaeo-oceanography.
And palaeo-climatology.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Wow, I've never met anyone who studied that, and I will pick your brains on that when we've got time later. But I guess onto the Sulnox solutions. So your flagship product is an organic, biodegradable fuel conditioner. For our listeners who may not be familiar with the product, can you explain a bit more about what it is, how it works, and why it's so important?
Sure. So the products are additives in nature, but we definitely describe them as fuel conditioners, and that's for a couple of reasons. Firstly, traditional additives are made up of waste petroleum distillates. There'll be substances, if you look at the chemistry, things like naphthalene or xylene, and they work kind of like adding lighter fluid to a bonfire. So you get a big flame, you get a powerful flame, and they will add power because you're adding fossil fuels to fossil fuels. But Sulnox is unique in the fact that we're based on emulsification chemistry, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But in short, we can take that potential energy in the fuel and make it more useful or go forward energy by the mechanisms that we have. So back to the emulsification. So Sulnox is different, and this is why we're patented. It's always been known that if you can add water to fuel, then you can reduce consumption and you can reduce emissions. The problem is that every engineer is told that water is the devil, and the last thing you want to do is add water to the engine. So what we've done is we've created something really clever. It's a product that acts like a water surrogate, so we have all the benefits of using water without the need to have any water present. So it's a product that will take advantage of small amounts that fuel attracts, and emulsify those small amounts of water and improve the combustion, but it'll also clean and lubricate the engine. So if we think about where fuel has come from, it used to be very high in sulfur. Today that sulfur content's come down because of the likes of acid rain that we hear about in the UK, causing major problems and killing forests. Sulfur's reduced, but sulfur used to be the lubricant, so we've actually managed to add lubricity back into the fuel to replace that sulfur that's missing, and we've got detergency, which cleans all the parts. Now, what we've really got is clever chemistry that combines the ability to improve combustion to reduce fuel consumption, but we've also got the ability to improve the mechanical side by adding lubricity and detergency. So it's a very clever chemistry. It's all come in one package, and it's not a dangerous good, unlike many of the competitors. So it's really good for storing on ships without any health and safety issues, as an example.
And the volume size can be small vehicles up to fast ships?
Yes, so it works in all liquid hydrocarbons. So we think about the petrol or diesel that we have in our cars, all of the marine fuels, be it heavy fuel oil that the biggest ships burn, very low sulfur fuel oil, or indeed their marine diesel. And then it works with the biofuels. As they're coming in now to replace fossil fuels, they have a lot of issues with water. They're very hydrophilic and also have issues with stability, and we're able to help with that as well. It will even work on aviation, but it's not something we've yet explored.
Right. And a CapEx solution as well, to my understanding,
Well,
is it?
yeah, so unlike a lot of other products out there which are physically modifying vehicles or vessels, you know, if you look at the marine industry, they have to change their propellers or paint the hulls with anti-friction paint. This costs a lot of money, and it takes the vessels out of water, so they can't earn money. What we've got is something that you just simply pour in. It will mix with the fuel just through the turbulence of adding the fuel, and it will go to work straight away to reduce consumption in the marine world by about 5%. Now, that's meaningful because if you're a container ship, you know, the size of the Empire State Building, you're burning 100 plus tons of fuel a day. This can mean that you'll save about $1 million per vessel per annum.
Wow.
Okay, so it's a meaningful number.
Yeah, and not having to take vessels out of...
Yeah, exactly that. So, yeah, not having to spend any capital to achieve that saving is what makes us unique and makes an immediate impact.
So we've sort of covered some of that, but I will just ask, perhaps in a sentence or two, like how does Sulnox Eco compare to other approaches in the decarbonisation space?
Well, it's complementary, and it's often said that there's no silver bullet for the transition, but it's able to make an immediate difference. So if you improve combustion, your greenhouse gas consumption with Sulnox is your greenhouse gas emissions with Sulnox are coming down about 30% for CO2. By making the fuel burn better, your nitrous oxides are coming down 15-20%. But the real story is around the particulate matter. So you know that black smoke that you get from ship's funnels or from your car exhaust, or as you see in National Geographic across Africa from those laden lorries. Yeah. That black smoke will disappear completely with Sulnox. And it's the only solution that's able to remove that black smoke so effectively. And in tests with generators, we're removing black smoke more than 97%, to give you an idea. So you really can't see the black smoke anymore. And this is why we've got big shipping and even cruise liners very keen to use the product to remove that black smoke.
Wow. So to date, where have you seen the greatest success stories so far? Shipping, aviation you've mentioned, maybe that's the next tier, but interested around the broader transport sector, where your success stories are.
So we started promoting the product about 4 years ago when I joined, and we really had to go and cast the net wide to see which markets would be the most effective. We initially started with logistics, so trucks and buses, where we demonstrated fuel savings 8 to 10%. Oh. And obviously the associated emissions reductions and mechanical benefits. But we've also demonstrated success in rail and in generators. Latest generator study, we saved around 15%, and that's on something that has no external input factors. So a generator, burning fuel at particular load, reducing consumption by that much, just shows how effective the products are. But we really are now focused on marine, and the reason behind that is because, as I mentioned, the huge fuel consumption associated with the industry, but now the stick of regulation as well. So every shipping owner across the planet has to reduce their fuel consumption to avoid the regulatory costs that go with fuel consumption. So Sulnox now, very pleased to say, here in Singapore, partnered with Eastern Pacific. They've become investors in Sulnox as a result of seeing those 5% fuel savings that I mentioned, and how also we're cleaning the engines and reducing the emissions. So they've been a key factor in our success in the region and helping us to grow further.
I want to touch on your R&D entity, Sulnox Innovations. Could you share any developments of that entity and what the trajectory looks like for that bit of Sulnox?
Yeah, so it's really exciting because, as you've mentioned, we're a green tech firm. We're inventors by nature, and pleased to say that the products will continue to evolve through time. So to give you an idea, with aviation, we've not really explored that sector yet, and it's one of the hardest to abate its emissions. And indeed, I think Rolls-Royce have said they're going to keep making combustion engines till 2050, to give you an idea. So by adapting Sulnox to those new fuels in aviation, like the SAFs, the sustainable aviation fuels, we're actually able to help them to transition even further. I also believe that aviation will rely on gas to liquid technology going forward, so taking natural gas and turning it into fuel, and Sulnox is able to work with gas to liquid technology and to reduce the consumption of aviation fuels, and this is something we're going to partner with a Canadian company on.
Thank you. I was going to ask, is it HQ'd, the Innovation Hub in the UK?
Yes, absolutely, but we're looking always for partners. Laboratory testing is easy to prove that you can achieve something, but it's really in the real world that you need evidence that makes the product then expand our revenues globally. And the other key point for Sulnox Innovations is around this biofuels. So by 2050, they reckon that 30% of all fuels will be biofuels or have bio content. Now, if we look at marine as an example, biofuels can come in many different shapes and sizes. They're often not homogeneous in their nature, and this means that people are scared to incorporate them, even despite the fines from regulation or the regulatory taxation. So Sulnox is actually able to deal with the water issues associated with biofuels. As an emulsifier, we're able to take away the water problems and to burn the water, improving the combustion and reducing emissions. But biofuels are also very unstable in nature, and every ingredient in Sulnox is also a stabilizer. So in effect, we can make the fuel last longer by stopping the oxidation of the fuel. If you take an example today, someone who fills up with biofuel in Asia, by the time they've had to go around Africa and get to Europe and want to use the biofuel, there's a fear that that fuel may not be usable. With the addition of Sulnox, the chances are that the fuel will last longer and be able to be used.
Wow, fascinating. Thank you. I guess bringing it on to Singapore and the Southeast Asian relevance of the business, could you tell us a bit about your expansion away from and out of the UK? What opportunities do you see in Singapore and the wider Southeast Asia region?
Yes, so Asia is a huge market for us. I've just come in from Japan, so excuse the jet lag a little. We've chosen to base ourselves in Singapore because of the fact that it's the major shipping hub. Most of the world's bunkers, a huge proportion, are sold here in Singapore, and that's why you have such a massive amount of shipping companies located here. So the opportunity for Singapore is largely maritime, but for the wider region, if you look at Indonesia, where we're also in the shipping space, there's a huge mining industry. If you look at Cambodia, we're focused there on infrastructure, transportation, and we've been sold in the Philippines and Thailand already. everybody's got this issue. We all want to transition, but as we mentioned earlier, there's not the money to invest, or the governments aren't leading the way to make the energy transition speeded up. So it's up to individual companies to drive the transition. And what Sulnox is offering is a product that has no capital expenditure. It's an operating cost, but in fact it's a saving. So those that use Sulnox are making 5 to 10% fuel savings, and that's meaningful. If you're a trucking business and 50% of your costs are on fuel, and you're reducing those costs 10%, it gives you an opportunity to further electrify or to drive your own green agenda. Not to mention the fact that we've reducing emissions and those black particulates so much associated with a lot of air quality issues in Asia.
I'd be interested just to unpick a little bit on, I guess, whether regulation is helping companies like Sulnox and help you align with companies that are needing, for compliance purposes, to adopt better green tech solutions. Can you tell me a bit about regulation vis-a-vis your business opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. Regulation is the driving force in our success, and will continue to be. Regulation has played a key part in changing industries that haven't had to change for many decades in embracing new technology. What's great about Sulnox is it's able to force that sustainability agenda, but do so in an easy way for the user. So simply adding the product, making an immediate difference to both consumption and emissions is a key driving point for us.
And I guess as well on the governmental level, but working that down to consumers, not on the big perhaps shipping vessel scale, but the individual consumers' purchasing decision making. I guess with that wider regulation coming down, Sulnox adapting to different solutions to, like you say, perhaps selling your conditioner in the petrol stations.
Exactly. So yes, in Africa, for instance, we are really pushing the petrol station agenda. The fuel is very poor in Africa, and the vehicles are all old. So we've kind of got the double impact of using Sulnox, improving the fuel, and also reducing emissions and improving the air quality associated. But also the black smoke will go. I've seen it go in 5 minutes, and makes a big impact to the running of the engines as well. I think regulation more broadly, or governments more broadly, need to do more though. What we're pushing for, and I'm excited to be making some progress now, is around carbon credits and the initiatives there. So traditionally carbon credits were used for innovations that may or may not come to fruition. So they were there to plant forests that sequester carbon, or to create new green fuels, which may never happen. They're a great idea, but hydrogen needs a whole new infrastructure. If you look at shipping, green ammonia or methanol, they need a whole new infrastructure. What we're able to do is make an immediate impact, and I think this is what we need. If everyone used Sulnox today, we could reduce the CO2 of a country like India, to give you an example. We can reduce millions of barrels of consumption every day, which will make the mountain, or that we've got to climb, reduce significantly, while we hope for these innovations.
And it's really exciting to hear that Sulnox has a manufacturing hub here. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, so Sulnox has its products made by a company called Nouryon. Many will know them as the old Akzo Nobel Specialty Chemicals. They were taken over by Carlyle Group, and now they're called Nouryon. So we used to have the product made in the Netherlands, but due to the fact that we've managed to develop the business so well in shipping, it seemed rational and sensible to have the product made here. So very pleased to say over the last year we've now set up a manufacturing plant with Nouryon here in Singapore, and the product is made, which obviously vastly reduces our carbon footprint of shipping the product here, and also takes advantage of the fact that the majority of the world's bunkers are taken here, and we can sell to the local shipping market.
let's transition onto your business and leadership insights.
Yeah.
As CEO of Sulnox, what are some of the key challenges you faced in driving adoption of new green tech solutions, particularly in traditional industries such as maritime?
So the thing about innovation is that no one gets fired for doing the status quo. So bringing new products to the market, especially something like Sulnox, which has had many additive type products come before it, is a special challenge. But what we've done is prove the product through scientific rigor in the lab, and then with many real-world trials across the world. So it's been tough to find those first adopters. But what's great about Singapore is that the country comes with an R&D culture, an innovation culture, universities that want to drive the decarbonisation agenda. So this is why we're particularly focused on Singapore as the hub for expanding into Asia, especially with its marine leadership.
Great, and I'm keen to unpick that a bit further, given your leadership as Sulnox has had some really good and success in Singapore and the wider, and internationally. What kind of leadership lessons stand out for you in that journey?
Well, it's going to take longer than you think, I think is the first thing. So we were actually listed on the UK market before I even joined, and what's been amazing is that whilst we've been able to attract money, it's taken a lot to get us to that situation where we are now, where we're patented, sold in many countries, and now being acknowledged as a thought leader and market leader in the decarbonisation space. So yes, you're going to need more money than you think, and it's going to take longer, I think are the two points that I'd like to make. And I think what's really been noticeable is since COVID, I think decisions are getting slower to be made. I think with the absence of everybody in a room and being able to pull ideas around in person, I think that's just made every decision take that much longer. And whilst consensus is always great and should be encouraged, I think lots of leadership has disappeared, or decision making has disappeared or slowed down certainly since the advent of COVID.
Yeah. So looking ahead, where do you see Sulnox in the next 5 years?
Well, I can see us as a ubiquitous name in marine. I really do think that today we're really gathering huge momentum. Eastern Pacific we're on more than 30 of their vessels now, all showing tremendous fuel savings, cleaner engines, and reduced emissions. And that partnership is enabling us to get into other major shipping companies who also, with the need to reduce consumption, will see the benefit. So I see us as a ubiquitous name in shipping. Elsewhere, Sulnox will be very big in Africa. As I mentioned, their energy, they're not even thinking about energy transition. They're still in their scale-up phase, and so the ability to reduce consumption as much as 15% that we see in Africa makes a big difference. It's also a humanitarian thing for me as well. So we'll be growing in the Americas. We've got an advisory board that's particularly focused on the Americas and developing some great new partnerships through investors in the States as well. But bringing it back to Asia, Asia is, it's such a tremendously vibrant area, and it is driving that additional consumption of fossil fuels. I mean, we've got to remember that peak oil is not coming until 2040, and so there's a long way to go before we are decarbonised. Now, decarbonisation through what we can do, I have an electric car. We all should have electric cars, provided they're not powered by coal-fired power stations. But it's just not possible for much of heavy industry or mining to actually decarbonise due to the dependence on diesel. So we're able to make a significant impact on those industries still using and going to continue to use a vast amount of fossil fuels. So mining and indeed still transportation are going to still be key markets for us. I just hope that Sulnox becomes a brand name that everyone goes to because we're able to make such a big impact.
Yeah, us at BritCham Singapore is really excited to kind of help you on that journey, and we look forward to seeing you much more, particularly as you grow into the household name, as it were.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, what's been great about Singapore is we now manufacture the product here. So as I mentioned, the fact that Singapore is innovative is one thing, but it's also the hub for marine. And now we're able to manufacture the product here. That takes the carbon footprint away of transporting our product. And we look for Singapore to be that hub for us in the Far East.
Absolutely. I've got one more question. It's just kind of around a call to action, I suppose, or your advice to UK businesses in the sustainability space. What would you say to them? Where do you see their opportunities?
Well, broadly, as I mentioned earlier, I think Singapore is a great place to partner. You've got often you have government funding and you have the ability to partner with those innovative institutions and universities. But for me, Sulnox is giving Singapore business, be it UK based or wider, the ability to really make an impact on their carbon footprint. Those that use Sulnox will reduce their fuel consumption, be it 5% in marine or as much as 10% in buses or trucks. So you can really lead the way by adopting Sulnox products and really make a significant impact on reducing the climate problem so that we're all in a better place tomorrow.
Well, Ben, it's been fantastic having you on our podcast today. Thank you so much for spending the afternoon with us, and particularly as I know you're jet lagged, having flown in from Japan. I think it is a first for BritCham podcast, and probably the majority of us listeners, to have a palaeo-climatologist on the show. But thank you. Really excited about continuing to support Sulnox journey, watching your innovation come out and your wider growth across Southeast Asia. Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Louise. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the British Chamber of Commerce Singapore's podcast channel. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a rating and review on Spotify, Apple, Google and other podcast platforms. If you enjoyed this episode, please spread the word by sharing it across your network. For more information about the Chamber and what we do, visit our website at www.britcham.org.sg and tune in next time for a brand new episode.